Welcome, Marie in Zone 6, early April. And here's a look at the garden now. Out the back door, there's a lot growing. But for starters, I put these violas in probably a few weeks ago. And so yesterday, I acquired some more. And they had some repetition down here in these containers. And I also got that mauvey pink to kind of break up the dark blue or purple as well as complement it. I think that's such a pretty color. I acquired this candy tuft maybe a few days ago. It's a perennial, and I put it in this container for now to add some color up on the deck when I look out the back door, and it echoes the white of the garage. This banister looked blank, so what I did is I added this autumn joy sedum out of the backyard. I dug it up and put it in this container to add some green to this banister, and it kind of pulls over the green from the arborvitae to the left. Down below, winter sowing. Let's see. I have at least one Shasta in there. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. That has germinated. And I have some foxglove. Let's see. At least one that has germinated. Or more. I don't know if the anise hyssop will germinate. It's looking ominous. I still have some plants to get in the ground, but that's okay. Down the back steps. The allium are really filling in. I like the bulk they add to the garden early in the season. And those yellow daffodils I planted will be blooming soon. So exciting. A lot of my hydrangeas the buds have started to swell. There are two sublime hydrangeas I planted recently there. And look at these beautiful daffodils. I planted them last December. Beautiful. I think they're called Slim Whitman. Let me get the tag. Yes, they are Slim Whitman. And here's a picture of what the gold daffodils should look like when they bloom. I planted last December. And these scarlet baby tulips, I think they're species tulips, look like they are about to bloom. Back down the back steps. There's some more Slim Whitman over here. The beauty. That's a hibiscus I planted there. Oak leaf hydrangea, limelights, quickfire fabs. Here they are, the scarlet babies. Ooh, I think this is, I planted two different types of tulips over here. Some were Darwin, which usually are not this short. I don't think they're ever this short. So these must be the scarlet babies. They should be opening soon. And there are some ice follies, daffodils, my old faithfuls. They come back every year. So exciting. So I have my crocus roses, David Austin, for, well, I have the scarlet babies for early bloom. And then for semi-early bloom, around beginning of June, I have my crocus roses, as well as a new rose back there what is that one called? Sweet Mademoiselle. And I have a bobo for early summer interest, as well as a firelight. And let's see. And I have this hibiscus here, which is edge of night hibiscus. So it should have burgundy leaves and pink blooms for late summer interest. So that's my goal, is to try to get in every area a variety of blooms. I just planted this Sally Holmes here, and it can be pruned into a shrub, like on the south side of my house, or into a climber, like the front of my house. I have it as a climber by the front door entrance. So I probably do partial shrub and also train some up onto the deck. That mirror I bought months ago behind the table I built years ago needs some of the boards replaced on that. Some of those cedar boards need to be replaced on that table I built. But anywho, that mirror I bought, it was cream, and I painted it wood ash by Bear Paint, wood ash. And I painted those lines in the middle. And so I think that looks pretty cool. Right below that extension. Ooh, the bird, he's excited too. So right below that extension I built a couple of years ago. Next to the faux shed I built years ago. And I have a bobo in there, as well as a limelight in that faux shed. And of course, some evergreen interest, which is so important. It makes such a great backdrop and adds a sense of order and calm to the garden. And this arborvitae was in the ground for like, I don't know, 10, 15 years. Dug it up, putting it in this container to try to break the corner of that table. It's such a big table. So to kind of break that corner and add a little softness with that evergreen. I've mulched a lot of my paths. There's a scan. And those big globe arborvitae are golden globes. And if they get enough sun, they'll turn golden. These are Het's midget arborvitae. These four, which adds a sense of order and calm to this area, because I have a variety over here. I have some tulips coming back, autumn joy sedum, one of my favorite perennials, Annabelles, daffodils, muscari, a variety. So they add some structure, some weight, as well as a sense of order in this particular area. That is my hibiscus evening rose, which it won't come out till the heat comes out. But if you're worried about your hibiscus and is it still alive, you just go down to the base. You can kind of dig a little away from the soil and look toward the base. And if you see green, then you know, okay, it's still alive. There's some green. It may be under the soil or just above the soil. There is another mirror. I added that mirror to the garage probably about 10 years ago and painted those lines. And that is a New Dawn rose I've trained across, which will be part shrub, part climber. That's the way I've trained it. Here are some more slim Wetmon. And I planted this Uptown Girl garden phlox behind. And for repetition, I planted one probably about 10 feet away down yonder. Hopefully the groundhog won't eat them. I have an Annabelle here, repetition, an Annabelle toward the back. Here's the tag for it. Just planted that. That's a firelight, a Gatsby pink oak leaf. And here's another Annabelle for repetition. And I have some chartreuse hostas, August moon hostas, dotted throughout the yard, which also provide a sense of repetition. Heading back towards the hidden garden, I dug up this Millennium Allium from the front yard and I divided it and I dotted it back here. So in midsummer, there should be some interest there along with the Limelight Prime right there. Those should give me mid to late, probably midsummer interest. And then for early summer, I have Annabelle's dotted back here. And for early interest, I have some gold daffodils planted back here as well. In clumps, I like clumps. And of course, some evergreens for a sense of order and a sense of calm. I love arborvitaes, that's my favorite evergreen. Back here, I also planted this, what is this, Queen Elizabeth rose. I dug it up from another part of the yard and put it here. It kind of struggled where it was, and I'm hoping that I can kind of rehabilitate it here. And hopefully it will do well. I get a bit of light back here. I have a huge tree which blocks a lot of light once it flushes out around May 18th. But it's pretty sunny until then. That's why I know the daffodils should do well. And there are my garage sale finds. I think they're food platters. Got those about 2 years ago. They were around 20 cents each. Welcome. So back here, I have these unfortunate looking posts, which I believe were linen posts. I think the house was built like in 1951. So I think these are linen posts where you hang string and hang clothes to dry, but I don't use it for that. And so I wanted to cover it. So I dug out one of my Sally Holmes from my south garden and I trained up the canes last fall, tied them up. There's a tie right there. And it died back and died back and died back and died back, where I had to cut it. And what it was is that it just was too much for the plant to support the roots because the roots had just been dug up and moved. And so basically it let go of the top canes or the upper part, at least this is my opinion, in order to save the base or the root, which is more important. But look here, look at this, Sally Holmes rose. It's in the Rose Hall of Fame, and rightfully so. Look at all of those shoots coming out. Those should all be canes. Yippee! And these were iceberg roses I planted. And Sally Holmes repeat blooms, and so do the icebergs. So they should give some flowers down low on the post, and the Sally Holmes should grow up and give some blooms higher up on the post, and eventually up above the post. It should linger. So exciting. Sun looks so pretty out here. Alrighty. I have some branches to put out front. Here I am at the entrance to the back garden. I have an arborvitae over this way. That one's been there years. I planted that not long after we first moved in this house. The prior owners left that one, so planted it there. And I have this, I think this is a whole strap. And I've had this one in a container as well as the other two huge ones, probably about 8 to 10 years. Arborvitaes do well in containers, at least in my area. And they add some weight to the side because the flower bed is narrow. And so it adds some weight and dimension to this side where the fence would ordinarily otherwise be flat. And I planted, of course, a bare root Sally Holmes right here. There she is, my favorite rose in the world. Planted that there, so it should come up and I can train it to climb. And I planted that's autumn joycetum, a Rise Up Lilac Days here, which I think is a climber, which should be purple. And that's just my little quick fire. Have some sublimes dotted back here. I like to do kind of like a triangle shape sometimes. So I have a sublime there to the right, a sublime yonder there, and a sublime, this would be the top of the triangle, here. And I did the same with the daylilies. So I have a Jolene Nicole daylily there. I just planted that. I planted it up because it's kind of wet over here. So with a lot of my plants, they're elevated about an inch or two out the ground because I have clay soil and certain areas really retains water. And so, in my opinion, it provides a wicking effect so that the roots don't rot. There's my clematis, Ville de Leon, and New Dawn. So back to the Jolene. That was the first Jolene daylily. There's the second. And to make the top of the triangle, there's the third across. So it's a triangle. All the angles may not be equal, but it's still a triangle. So pretty. Look at that ruffle. I got those for like 90% off in December. And I put this evergreen here for, you might have guessed it, for some structure, some weight, and sense of order over here. These are my endless summers. I don't know if they'll get blooms this year. Last couple of years, they've gotten a lot of blooms. I don't know about this year, but I love the leaves so much that even if it's just leaves, I'm fine with that. And this cutie was on the top of my mom's house when they moved in, and she wanted to get a new roof, so they took this down, and I took this beauty home. So east, I planted it where the east would be kind of east, the west would be kind of west, and so forth. Well, I shouldn't say planted it. Yeah, whatever. And there's my quick fire back there. Here is some more, what is this? Millennium allium. I dug out the front. And the issue with this millennium allium is bishop's weed is growing through it. So I can't just put it anywhere. I can put it someplace where I already have bishop's weed. So here's my bishop's weed. I have a love-hate relationship with it. It is gorgeous, but it is so annoying. It just spreads and spreads and spreads, and it's just starting to emerge. So, and it gets these really pretty blooms on it that look like Orlea. So, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's just so aggressive in my yard. So that millennium allium has bishop's weed intermingled in it because the area in my front yard where it was, there was bishop's weed, which intermingled with it eventually. So I have to put it in a spot that gets a bit of sun and that already has bishop's weed. So I'll think about it. So here is the east garden. It faces east, so I call it the east garden, which is the front garden. And here are some of my old school ice follies that have bloomed. And these are some Darwin tulips that are like a pink I planted last December. And this is a mixture of ice follies on either side of the front steps and another one I don't remember right now. So I put those on both sides. I like to put annuals on both sides leading up to the front door. And I put some daffodils down yonder in the back as well. I just feel it makes a welcoming feel. Kind of feels like it's embracing me as I go up to the front door. And here is well, it doesn't look gorgeous now, but if you're a rose person, this might excite you. My Sally Holmes. So I have it trained as a climber here. and on my south side as a shrub. It's just beautiful. At least it will be. There's a limelight by my bay window, and for repetition, a limelight right here in front of that juniper that's gotten huge. When I first moved here, that juniper was in a pot, and the big arborvitae in the back were in a pot. The prior owners left them, and my mom said about this juniper, she said, let's plant this here. And I thought, oh, it was so small and dinky, and I don't like dinky. But listening to your mom can be rewarding. So I love it there now. It adds weight to the side of the house, though I am allergic. So if it pokes me, I can get hives, break out in hives. But anyway, I still like it. And backing up, backing up, backing up. Going this way, here are some more established daffodils, ice follies. That's where they're blooming earlier. Seems like the older ones bloom earlier. And these arborvitae would actually be your traditional cone shape or conical shape. But I just chopped the top off when I bought them, and that was probably about 8 to 10 years ago, and they've done well. So they're kind of like tailored globe arborvitae, tailored by me. And for repetition, I have some more pink Darwin daffodils over here in front of the bay window with the limelight. And there are also, there's a pink Rose of Sharon over here, chiffon Rose of Sharon. There's a Japanese viburnum. What else is over here? Hibiscus, bearded iris. There's a variety, okay? So exciting. Look in there. Look at those buds in there. Ooh-wee. Yippee. So exciting. So I have daffodils for early blooms as well as tulips. Then that's around end of April, May. And then around the end of May, I have my catmint walker's low and my May night salvia, my favorite salvia in the world, which will bloom around the end of May, beginning of June. And then toward the end of June, my Invincible, was it Invincible? Incredible smooth hydrangeas and my Annabelle up here will bloom. There's one there, Incredible. There's two Incredibles actually there. One's cut short. And my Annabelle right here. So they'll bloom the end of June. The evergreens provide year-round beauty. Oh, and my Sally Holmes will bloom around the same time as the catmint and the salvia. And then for summer beauty, I have my limelights. So it's kind of like an orchestra. Each instrument has its own special quality it can contribute, but at different times, and that's the way perennials are. They all have their own beautiful attributes, and they contributed at different times during the growing season. At least that's the way I'm thinking about it. Different stages, daffodil blooms. Headed back. On either side back here, I have two golden globe arborvitae in the middle, and arborvitae I dug up from the backyard. So as the sun increases, the gold of those two on the outside should increase. And we had a windstorm, and it knocked one of my containers over, and the plant's lopsided, but whatever. It'll be fixed eventually. Rome was not built in a day. Do a walk this way. Up the steps. And here's the basic view when I'm in my house, looking out. This will be the basic view right now. I'm up against the door. So Thank you for your interest in my garden. Toodles!